They wrote Charlie off before the match even started. Down by 5 strokes with 9 holes to play, facing the hottest junior golfer on the planet. Dealing with injuries that would have forced most players to withdraw, the smart money wasn't just on Miles Russell. It was laughing at the idea that Tiger Woods' son could mount any kind of comeback. Even Charlie's caddy whispered about damage control. But champions don't hear doubt the same way normal people do. What happened over those final 9 holes defied logic, probability, and everything experts thought they knew about pressure. The 18th hole? You won't believe what Charlie did. Nobody could. Asterisk, if you want to witness the greatest comeback in junior golf history, see what separates good athletes from legendary ones. And watch a moment that proves why the Woods name still means something special. Hit that subscribe button now. This story will give you chills, guaranteed. Asterisk, asterisk. Let me set the scene for you, because context is everything. This wasn't just another junior tournament. This was the U.S. Junior Amateur Championship qualifier, and making it through meant a legitimate shot at competing in one of golf's most prestigious junior events. College scouts weren't just watching, they were taking notes that would determine scholarships worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Professional agents were already identifying which kids had the mental makeup for the tour. Miles Russell came into this tournament as the undisputed favorite. We're talking about a kid who, at just 14 years old, became the youngest player ever to make a cut on the Korn Ferry Tour. Not a typo. 14. Competing against grown men with families, mortgages, and decade-long professional careers. And he didn't just participate, he thrived. His swing was being analyzed by top coaches who couldn't find flaws. His course management was compared to players twice his age. Miles wasn't just the future of golf. In many people's minds, he was already redefining what was possible. Then there's Charlie Woods, carrying a last name that's simultaneously the greatest advantage and heaviest burden in golf. Every single shot he hits gets compared to his father's legendary career. Every tournament becomes a referendum on whether genetics and training can create another Woods dynasty. The pressure isn't just about winning, it's about being worthy of the legacy. But here's what most people didn't know going to this match. Charlie wasn't at 100%. A wrist injury that he'd been managing for weeks had flared up during practice rounds. Nothing dramatic enough to withdraw, but anyone who plays golf knows that even a slight wrist issue can wreck your entire game. Your grip changes, your swing plane shifts, your confidence evaporates because you can't trust your body to do what your mind commands. Charlie's team debated whether he should even play. Conservative wisdom said rest it, heal up, come back stronger for the next tournament. But there was something in Charlie's eyes when they suggested withdrawal, that same fire that made his father walk up 18 at Torrey Pines on a broken leg and will himself to a U.S. Open victory. The Woodsmen don't quit. It's not in their programming. The first 9 holes were painful to watch if you were a Charlie Woods fan. Not because he was playing terribly, his ball striking was actually solid, but Miles was playing out of his mind. Birdies on 2, 4, and 7. An eagle on the par 5-6 that had the crowd erupting. Meanwhile, Charlie was grinding out pars, making routine putts. But watching the deficit grow with every hole, by the turn, Miles was up by 5 strokes. In match play format at this level, 5 strokes with 9 to play isn't insurmountable, but it's severely uphill. The statistics say you need to average better than your opponent by more than half a shot per hole just to force a playoff. You need them to falter while you go unconscious. It happens, sure, but betting against it is usually the smart move. The ESPN commentators were already shifting their narrative. They started talking about Miles' dominance, breaking down what made him so special, essentially writing the victory story before the match finished. One analyst said, and I'm quoting here, "Charlie Woods is an excellent young player. But today, we're seeing the difference between very good and truly elite." Social media picked up that quote and ran with it. The narrative was set. Miles proves he's the real deal. Charlie shows he's got work to do. But something shifted when Charlie stepped up to the 10th tee. Later, his caddy would describe it as a switch flipping. Charlie's whole demeanor changed. The injury didn't magically heal, the deficit didn't shrink, the pressure didn't evaporate. But Charlie's mindset transformed from trying to keep it close to, "I'm taking everything from you." The 10th hole was a par 4, dogleg right, with a bunker that catches anything slightly offline. Conservative play is a fade to the middle of the fairway, leaving yourself a mid-iron into the green. Charlie pulled driver aimed directly at the bunker and hit a draw that started over the hazard and curved back into the fairway, leaving him just a wedge into the green. Risky, aggressive, necessary. He stuck it to 8 feet and made the birdie putt. Down by 4 miles, playing solid golf, made his par. No problem. He was still up by 4 with 8 to play. But here's what the scoreboard doesn't show: that birdie did something to the psychological dynamic of the match. Charlie just announced he wasn't trying to minimize damage anymore. He was hunting. 11th hole, par 3 over water. Miles hit first, found the middle of the green, solid play. Charlie had 175 yards, slightly into the breeze. With that wrist injury making him uncertain about fully releasing the club, any sensible caddy says aim for the fat part of the green, take your par, keep the pressure on. But Charlie wasn't thinking sensible. He took dead aim at the flag, swung with conviction, and the ball never left the target. It landed 6 feet from the cup. The crowd noise went from polite applause to genuine excitement. People were starting to sense something building. Charlie rolled into birdie. Miles to putted for par. Down by 3. Now Miles was in an interesting position. He was still up by 3 with 7 to play, excellent position. But momentum was shifting, and anyone who's played competitive golf knows that momentum is a real thing. It's not mystical. It's psychological. When your opponent starts making everything and you're just maintaining, doubt creeps in. Not obvious doubt, just that tiny whisper asking whether your lead is actually safe. The 12th was where it got really interesting. Par 5, reachable in 2 for both players. Miles had the honor, crushed his drive down the center, pure as you can hit it. He was setting up for an eagle attempt, looking to extend his lead and potentially break Charlie's momentum. He hit his second shot well, but it caught the false front of the green and rolled back into the collection area. Not a disaster, just not the position he wanted. Charlie's turn. His drive wasn't quite as long as Miles, partly due to the wrist injury limiting his power. He had 235 yards to the pin, over a bunker, with anything short ending up in bad position. Every logical calculation said lay up, wedge it close, make birdie, keep applying pressure. But Charlie didn't come here for logical. He grabbed 3 wood, made a smooth swing, and absolutely flushed it. The ball covered the flag the entire way, landed soft on the green, scalped, and settled 12 feet from the cup. The energy in the gallery completely changed. This wasn't just a comeback attempt anymore. This was a statement. Miles, now suddenly under pressure he didn't expect, hit a good chip, but left himself 8 feet for birdie. Charlie rolled in his eagle putt like it was a tap-in. Miles missed his birdie try. Just like that, in one hole, the lead went from 3 to 1. You could see it in Miles' walk to the 13th tee. Not panic, not collapse, but that physical manifestation of this isn't going how I expected. His routine got just a fraction faster. His practice swings lost that rhythmic confidence. He was still playing well, that's the crazy part. Charlie had shifted the entire psychological framework of the match. 13. 14 and 15 were all pars for both players. But they felt like victories for Charlie because Miles couldn't extend the lead. Every hole that passed with that one-stroke deficit intact built Charlie's belief and tested Miles' resolve. 16th hole, par 3, 190 yards, swirling wind. Miles hit first again, found the green, but left himself a 40-footer. Safe, solid, what you're supposed to do when protecting a lead. Charlie, needing to apply more pressure, aimed at the Sunday pin, fully committed to a shot that had no margin for error. He hit it pure. The ball landed 8 feet away. When Charlie made that birdie putt, and Miles missed his long attempt, the match was tied with 2 holes to play. 5 holes earlier, Charlie was down by 5. Now they were even. The impossible was happening in real time. The golf world was losing its collective mind. Miles had to feel like he'd been hit by a truck. He'd played solid golf. He hadn't made any huge mistakes. His lead had been commanding. And somehow, someway, Tiger Woods' kid had erased everything and was now walking stride for stride with him. Looking like a predator who'd just gotten his second wind, the 17th hole felt different than any other hole all day. Both players made routine pars, but you could feel the tension. The crowd was silent over putts, exploded after good shots. And every person there knew they were witnessing something special. Which brings us to 18, the hole that will be talked about for years. The hole that sports psychologists will study. The hole that proved some people really are built different. Par 4, 425 yards, slight dogleg left. With water running down the entire left side and bunkers protecting the right, the safe play is right center, leaving yourself a mid-to-long iron approach. But safe doesn't win matches when everything's on the line. Miles hit first, and you could see him thinking damage control. He aimed right center, hit a good drive, found the fairway, smart, solid, professional. He was in perfect position to make par and force a playoff. Charlie stepped up knowing he couldn't just match Miles anymore. He'd spent 5 holes clawing back from impossible odds. He didn't come this far to settle for a playoff. He needed to win it outright, right here, right now. So he did something that made his caddy's eyes go wide. He aimed down the left side, directly challenging the water, setting up the shortest possible approach to the green. One tiny miss, one slight push, one moment of doubt in his swing, and the ball is wet and the match is over. The risk-reward ratio was insane. But Charlie wasn't calculating risk-reward. He was calculating what it takes to be legendary. He made a perfect swing. The ball started over the water, drew back toward the fairway, settled in the short grass just 95 yards from the pin. The crowd erupted. Even Miles had to appreciate the sheer audacity of that shot selection under that pressure. Miles had 165 yards to the flag, pin tucked back right. He hit a solid approach that found the green 25 feet away. Good shot gave himself a legitimate birdie look. Charlie with just a wedge in his hands and the match in the balance. Did what woodsmen do when everything's on the line? He hit it to 4 feet, dead straight at the hole. The kind of shot that when it leaves the club face, you know it's perfect. The gallery lost it. Grown men were jumping up and down. Even the ESPN commentators abandoned any pretense of neutrality. This was special, and everyone knew it. Miles faced his birdie putt, knowing Charlie would almost certainly make his. He hit a good stroke, but it slid by the left edge. Still had par coming back, which would force Charlie to make his. But the momentum was completely one-sided now. Charlie looked at his 4-footer like it was 3 inches. He rolled it in the center of the cup, threw both fists in the air. The place absolutely exploded, down by 5 with 9 to play. 1 stroke behind with 2 to play. Victory on 18. The most improbable comeback in recent junior golf memory. And Charlie Woods had just announced to the world that the name on his shirt isn't a burden, it's a promise. Miles handled the loss with incredible grace. He congratulated Charlie, acknowledged the amazing golf, and showed why he's going to be a great professional regardless of this one match. But you could see in his eyes that he'd just learned something profound about what separates very good from transcendent. What Charlie did wasn't just about golf mechanics or shot-making ability. It was about belief, about refusing to accept the narrative that everyone else had already written, about understanding that champions don't just play the course, they impose their will on the outcome. This is why the Woods name still means something. This is why Tiger's legacy extends beyond his own career. He's shown Charlie that impossible is just an opinion, that pressure is privilege, and that when everything's on the line, you don't hope to be great, you demand it from yourself.